The stage is yours. Keep shining. They whisper, they watch, they plot. But you rise. Let's be honest. Some people can't stand to see you winning. They laughed when you struggled, ignored you when you needed support, and doubted every dream you dared to speak aloud. But now, they can't take their eyes off you. Now, they lurk in the shadows, desperate to know how you keep defying expectations, how you keep evolving, how you keep breaking every limit they tried to place on you. You were never meant to be small. You were never designed to blend in. Your energy has always been loud, undeniable, magnetic. That's why they tried to shrink you, because they feared what would happen if you realized just how unstoppable you really are. But here's the thing. The ones who bark the loudest, they're always the ones watching the hardest. So let them talk. Let them stalk. Let them choke on the regret of underestimating you. Because while they're fixated on your every move, you're already 10 steps ahead, untouchable, unbothered, and unstoppable. The stage is yours. Keep shining. They never understood the magnitude of your presence until it was gone. They convinced themselves you were just another fleeting connection, something replaceable, something ordinary. Yet now that you're no longer in their orbit, an emptiness lingers. They pretend they've moved on, tell themselves the past is buried. But if that were true, why do they still gravitate toward you? Their mind insists they're fine, but their spirit knows the truth. It was never just about losing a person. They lost an entire frequency, an energy that elevated everything it touched. And in its absence, life feels duller, more hollow. The illusion of control they once had has shattered, because no matter how much they try to rewrite history, the undeniable fact remains. You were the foundation they never realized they needed, until it was too late. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Psalm 23:5. Let me tell you something. When God's hand is on your life, when His favor covers you, there are people who will have no choice but to watch you win. Not because they want to celebrate you, not because they ever truly believed in you, but because God will place them as witnesses to your elevation. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could walk away without consequence, thought their absence would shake you. But now, they sit in silence, scrolling, searching, hoping to find evidence that they still matter to you, that their shadow still lingers over your life. That restless feeling, that sense that someone's watching, it's real. Because they are. They won't admit it, won't say your name out loud, won't acknowledge the grip your success has on their thoughts, but their spirit knows what their pride refuses to accept. They didn't just lose a person, they lost access to an entire realm of favor they didn't even realize was attached to you. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click Join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. See, some people never appreciate what they have until it's gone. They assumed you'd always be there, assumed they could step in and out of your life on their terms, assumed that no matter how far they strayed, the door would always be open. But God doesn't work like that. When He removes you from a place, He doesn't just take you out, He elevates you beyond their reach. And that's exactly what's happened. At first, they tried to convince themselves they didn't care, told themselves you were just a phase, just a moment in time, just a lesson learned. But the more they try to move forward, the more they feel it, that void, that emptiness. That undeniable shift that lets them know something is missing. Because it wasn't just you they lost. It was the access, the energy, the anointing, the divine favor that followed you wherever you went. Now, they watch. Oh, they watch. They check in from the shadows, hoping to see signs of struggle, looking for cracks in the foundation, waiting for confirmation that maybe, just maybe, you weren't as strong as you seemed. But every glimpse, every update, every word spoken about you only deepens the wound. Because while they stood still, you soared. While they stayed stagnant, you ascended. While they lingered in the past, you stepped into a future they will never be part of. And the hardest pill for them to swallow? It's not just that you moved on. It's that you glowed up. It's that your presence is even stronger, your favor even greater, your influence even wider. They thought time would dull your shine, that life would humble you, that you'd stay small without them. But instead, God prepared a table for you, a feast of blessings, laid out in full view of those who doubted you. And now, they have to sit in the very place they left you, looking at what could have been, knowing that no matter how much they watch, no matter how much they regret, no matter how much they wish they could turn back time, you are gone. Not just physically, not just emotionally, but on a whole different level they will never reach. Because what they lost, it wasn't just a person. It was favor. It was protection. It was access to something far greater. And now, they're on the outside, looking in, realizing that while they were busy watching you were already too far ahead to even notice. They never expected you to rise from the ashes. They assumed their absence would diminish you, that without them, your path would waver. Instead, you've become untouchable. They can't fathom how you continue to ascend, how the fire they thought would consume you only made you stronger. And now, all they can do is witness your transformation from a distance. Their biggest regret isn't what they did. It's realizing that no matter how much they wish they could, they'll never stand beside you in this new chapter. They were never prepared for who you would become without them. And now, they are left chasing shadows, clinging to echoes of a presence that no longer belongs to them. You've stepped into your power, and their world has been left in darkness. Watching you is the closest they'll ever get to what they lost, because the light they mistook for their own was never theirs to begin with. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. Let me tell you something. When God puts his hand on you, there ain't a force in this world that can take it away. Some people thought they could walk out of your life like you were just another option, like your presence was something casual, like your favor was something they could find elsewhere. They assumed they had time, assumed they could turn their back on you and still carry the blessings that came with knowing you. But here's the truth. When they left you, they left the anointing that was attached to you. They walked away from the oil, from the covering, from the divine connection that was elevating them without them even realizing it. And now they feel it. Now they see it. At first, they convinced themselves it didn't matter. They told themselves they were fine, that life would move forward just the same. They tried to build without the foundation you provided, tried to create without the favor they once stood under. But reality has a way of humbling those who take God's gifts for granted. See, they thought you were just a person. What they didn't understand was that you were an assignment. They weren't just walking away from a relationship, a friendship, an opportunity. They were walking away from a divine setup. And now, while your life accelerates, while your blessings multiply, while your name is being spoken in rooms they'll never enter, they sit in the very place they thought they had outgrown, realizing they lost something they will never get back. Oh, they won't admit it. Their pride won't let them. They'll pretend they don't notice, pretend they don't care, pretend your success doesn't shake them to their core. But watch closely. Watch the way they linger. Watch the way they keep tabs. Watch the way their so-called indifference looks a whole lot like obsession. Because here's what they'll never say out loud. They didn't just lose you. They lost the best version of themselves that existed when they were connected to you. They're looking for something, anything, to fill that empty space, to replicate what they once had. But nothing fits. Nothing flows. The doors that used to open are now closed. The favor that used to follow them is nowhere to be found. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. And you keep rising. You keep glowing. You keep stepping into levels they never thought you'd reach. Because here's the part they never understood. Your destiny was never tied to them. They were borrowing the light, mistaking it for their own, assuming they could leave and still shine just the same. But the moment they left your presence, the glow faded, the path darkened, the road became harder. They're struggling now, grasping for the power they didn't even know was never theirs to begin with. See, some people don't realize what they have until it's gone, and some people don't realize who they were connected to until that connection is severed. Now, all they can do is watch. Not because they care, not because they miss you, but because your success is the loudest reminder that they made the biggest mistake of their life, and there is nothing they can do to reverse it. God called you. God covered you. God elevated you. And now, they're stuck on the outside, looking in, realizing that no matter how much they try, they will never have access to you again. What they lost is not just you. It's everything that came with you. That restless feeling in their chest, it isn't regret, it's devastation. They set the fire, thinking they'd be the one to walk away untouched, only to realize too late that they were never the flame, only a shadow cast in your light. They were certain time would work in their favor, that you would wait, that your world would stand still. But time didn't pause. It carried you forward while leaving them behind. And now they sit in the wreckage of their own choices, trying to make sense of what they let slip through their fingers. They search for proof that they were special, that they held a place no one else could fill. But every move you make reminds them that this isn't just about leaving. It's about the fact that you never once hesitated to step into something greater. They assumed you would stay tethered to their indecision, that no one else would ever understand you, that they were the pinnacle of what you could have. But now, watching from the sidelines, they see the truth. Not only have you moved on, but you found something they could never be. And that is a pain they will never escape. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. Let me tell you something. When God shifts you into a new season, there ain't a force in this world that can drag you back to the old one. See, some people thought they had you figured out. They assumed you'd always be available, always be an option, always be sitting there, hoping they'd finally see your worth. But what they didn't understand is that when God moves you, He doesn't just close doors, He seals them shut. At first, They didn't think much of it. They walked away like they were making the choice, like they had the upper hand. They thought they had time, thought they could go explore, thought they could leave and return whenever they pleased. But time has a way of revealing the truth. And the truth is, they weren't just losing a connection. They were losing access to the divine favor that covered them through you. You see, you weren't just another person in their life. You were the bridge, the one carrying the anointing, the one shifting the atmosphere, the one pouring into them when they had nothing left. And they mistook that grace for something ordinary. They assumed they could find it anywhere, that what they had with you wasn't unique, that their life wouldn't change without you in it. But now, as they sit in the same cycles, stuck in the same patterns, fighting the same battles, you are soaring, you are elevating, you are stepping into blessings they never thought you'd reach. And the worst part for them, you don't even look back. You're not bitter, you're not chasing, you're not mourning. You are thriving. You are stepping into every room they swore you'd never enter. You are becoming everything they doubted you could be. And they can feel it. Oh, they won't say it out loud, but their actions scream the truth. Watching your every move, trying to decode how you keep rising, searching for signs that maybe, just maybe, you miss them as much as they miss you. But the reality is, they are watching a version of you they no longer have access to. They are stuck on the outside, looking in at something they once held in their hands but didn't value enough to keep. They thought you were just a moment in time, something fleeting, something temporary. But what they didn't understand is that you were never a phase. You were the shift. God was never going to let them keep what they weren't willing to cherish. He was never going to let them stay connected to something they only wanted to drain. So he removed you. He elevated you. He placed you in a position where they can see you, but they can never reach you again. And that void, that weight they can't shake, that's not just regret. That's not just nostalgia. That is their spirit, recognizing what their pride refuses to admit. You were the best thing that ever happened to them. And now, you are untouchable. They say they've moved on, that it was for the best, that everything is just as it should be, but something is missing, and they can't quite place it. The unease creeps in, slowly, unannounced, until it's impossible to ignore. The rhythm of their life has changed, yet they can't explain why it no longer flows the way it used to. It starts with subtle reminders, unfamiliar emotions that feel strangely familiar, echoes of conversations long past, a sudden awareness of the spaces you used to fill. Then it builds. A song that once held no meaning now stirs something deep. Forgotten memories push their way to the surface, your name appearing in unexpected places like an imprint on the world itself. And before their mind can fully process the loss, their soul has already been unraveling, mourning something their ego refused to acknowledge. This isn't just nostalgia. This isn't just longing. This isn't just missing someone. It's an unshakable truth, lodged in their being. They let go of something sacred. They walked away from something irreplaceable. And now they are haunted, not just by your absence, but by the certainty that this door will never open for them again. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Matthew 7:6. Let me tell you something. There comes a time when God stops allowing your presence to be mishandled. There comes a moment when the doors that once swung open for the wrong people slam shut, and no amount of regret No amount of apologies, no amount of watching from a distance will ever reopen them. See, some people thought they had time. They thought they could take without consequence. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your love for dependency, your patience for permission to keep playing games. But here's the thing. God doesn't let his chosen ones waste their gifts on people who refuse to grow. He will pull you out of places where your value isn't recognized. He will remove you from relationships where your presence is taken for granted. Because you weren't meant to pour into people who only want to drain you. You weren't meant to wait on someone who was never planning to meet you at your level. At first, they didn't notice the shift. They assumed life would continue as usual, that they could come back when they were ready, that the energy they once received from you could be replaced. But slowly, they started to feel it. The silence, the absence, the loss of favor they didn't even know was tied to you. They started to see you in spaces they never thought you'd reach, walking through doors they thought would always be closed to you. And now they stand on the outside, watching the life they could have built, the love they could have nurtured, the blessings they could have shared, had they only chosen differently. Oh, they don't want to admit it. Their pride won't let them. But deep down, they know. Every success you step into reminds them of what they lost. Every new opportunity magnifies the truth they tried to ignore. Every new level you step into is proof that you never needed them to begin with. And here's what they'll never say out loud. It's not just you they miss. It's the version of themselves they were when they were connected to you. Because you didn't just bring love, you brought wisdom. You didn't just offer companionship, you offered vision. You didn't just give them your time, you gave them access to a higher level, to a better mindset, to a future they couldn't see for themselves. And now that access is gone. Not because you're bitter, not because you're holding a grudge, but because God took you somewhere they can never follow. You don't walk this path for applause. You don't move forward for validation. You rise because you were always meant to. You evolve because your spirit won't let you settle. And while they sit there, reminiscing, regretting, replaying the past, you're already light years ahead, untouchable, unstoppable, and walking fully in the purpose they once had a front row seat to. But they didn't recognize the blessing when they had it. And now they can only watch from a distance, knowing they will never stand beside you again. Everything is aligning, falling into place with effortless precision. What once felt impossible now happens in the blink of an eye. What once required struggle now arrives with ease. This isn't luck. It's the power that was always within you, finally unleashed. The weight that once held you back is gone, and the acceleration is undeniable. And they see it. They feel it. That's why they linger in the shadows, tracking your every step, trying to make sense of your rise. They need to understand how you keep thriving, why opportunities seem to chase you, why your world keeps expanding while theirs remains stagnant. But the answer is simple. It was never about them. They weren't your source. You were theirs. Your presence was the reason doors opened. Your energy was the current that pushed them forward. Your connection was the unseen force that made things flow effortlessly in their life. And now that you're gone, they feel the shift. Their path has stalled. Their momentum has faded. Their glow has dimmed. Meanwhile, yours only intensifies, because the moment you walked away, you stepped fully into your own power. They assumed they could return when they were ready, that they had time to find their way back. But time has left them behind. And now, all they can do is watch, knowing that no matter how much they wish for it, they will never again stand beside you in a reality they no longer belong to. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. Let me tell you something. When God calls you, He doesn't wait for other people to recognize your value. When He marks you for something greater, He doesn't need the approval of those who once dismissed you. Some people thought they had all the time in the world to figure things out, thought they could come and go as they pleased, thought they could overlook you, discard you, and return when it suited them. But what they didn't understand is that God's favor doesn't wait. The doors that once stood open have now shut, and they don't have the key. At first, they didn't notice the shift. They walked away, thinking life would go on as usual, thinking they could pick up where they left off whenever they were ready. But time has a way of teaching lessons the hard way. See, while they were stuck in the same cycles, repeating the same patterns, making the same excuses, you were moving, you were growing, you were elevating into a realm they no longer have access to. They thought you would always be where they left you, but by the time they turned around, you had already outgrown them, outpaced them, left them standing in the dust of their own indecision. They are still searching for the old you, still hoping to find you in familiar places, still convinced they can reach you like they once did. But the reality is, you have shifted dimensions. You don't exist in the same reality they once shared with you. The distance between you is no longer about miles, it's about levels. And while they stayed stagnant, you ascended. And now, they feel it. The absence, the silence, the undeniable weight of what they lost. They might not admit it, might act like it doesn't bother them, might pretend they never cared, but their actions betray them. They watch from a distance, hoping for a sign that you still think about them, hoping to see even the smallest glimpse of regret in your eyes. But what they don't realize is, you don't even look back. You're too busy stepping into the blessings they were never meant to share. Because that's the truth, isn't it? They weren't just losing you. They were losing everything that came with you. The wisdom, the protection, the favor. The doors that opened effortlessly when they were in your presence now remain shut. The blessings they thought were their own were only there because of you. And now that you're gone, that well has dried up. You were never meant to wait on them. You were never meant to pause your destiny for their convenience. God didn't create you to beg for someone to see your worth. And now, as they sit on the outside, watching you rise, watching you glow, watching you step into a future they will never be part of, they are left with only one question. How did they not see it before? But the answer doesn't matter. Because by the time they finally understood what they lost, it was already too late. The door is sealed, the chapter is closed, and you are untouchable. You didn't leave in bitterness. You didn't walk away in defeat. You didn't lose anything. You were pulled into something greater. You were never meant to stay where you weren't valued, never meant to exhaust yourself proving your worth, never meant to shrink so someone else could feel bigger. The forces guiding you saw what you could not, the deception, the energy drain, the stagnation that was threatening your destiny. Every disappointment was a redirection. Every betrayal was a hidden blessing. Every detachment was divine intervention, shielding you from what no longer deserved access to you. They weren't just holding you back, they were interfering with something far beyond their understanding. And the universe acted. Now, the shift is undeniable. They feel it. They sense it. That's why they still watch from a distance, obsessively trying to understand how you keep accelerating, how you keep winning, how you keep ascending without them. They may not be able to put it into words, but their spirit knows what their mind refuses to accept. You were never theirs to control. You were never their possession. You were the gift, the rare light, the one thing they underestimated, until it was too late. They thought they had the upper hand, thought they were the ones making the decisions, thought they were choosing you. But as they stand on the outside now, watching you thrive, watching you step into your power, watching others appreciate what they dismissed, the truth finally settles in. It was never about them. It was always about you. And the most painful realization, it was never you who needed them. It was always them who needed you.